I think all of us, I certainly have gone from belief that there were not more casualties, and that's an amazing thing that there were not, particularly when people began to see the devastation on 2nd Avenue, to relief that there were not more casualties, to now anger and determination and resolve, and a resolve to rebuild and not to be deterred, and to bring whoever was responsible for this to justice. Now, I've spoken with Governor Lee, who is working with us to have a declaration of a civil emergency, both for TEMA to work with FEMA to bring all possible resources to commit to rebuilding 2nd Avenue, to go forward, being deterred by this. And I'm grateful to our state and our federal partners to help this rebuild and come back. There are 41 at least separate businesses that are materially damaged by this blast. There will be others as we see the full extent of this, but already you can tell that it's going to need special help, special resources, and I'm grateful to the state partnering with us to commit to rebuilding 2nd. Now, and I'll end with our downtown residents and our business owners, for whom this was a terrible day, but we are, like Nashville has faced other challenges, particularly this year, we can rebuild and get back to normal. Now, as announced earlier, Metro is also establishing a curfew in the explosion impact area from 4:30 today until 4:30 p.m. this Sunday. Now, affected businesses, I would urge them to contact Krista Lapp at the Central Precinct, 862-8600, to be able to manage coming back to your facilities safely. But in the meantime, the curfew area is going to provide safety and security for businesses in this area. And I will go ahead and warn Nashville, it'll be some time before 2nd Avenue is back to normal. It is not going to be the 3 days of the curfew for 2nd Avenue itself. The curfew is going to go from 4th to the river, from James Robertson down to Broadway. The police are going to take special care with that for the next few days, and the FBI do have a large crime scene to investigate, and they need to be able to do that work effectively and well. Now, this morning's attack on our community was intended to create chaos and fear in this season of peace and hope. But Nashvillians have proven time and time again that the spirit of our city cannot be broken. But we're not going to rest until those responsible for this outrageous and cowardly attack are brought to justice. And the full force of the Metro Police and our partners with the FBI and the ATF are working together to make sure that we will get back to being the safe city that we are. Now, 3 people have been hospitalized as a result of the explosion and are in a stable condition, and my prayers are with them and their loved ones. Tonight, I had been able to visit with a 4-year-old girl this morning who had no injury and was saved. From our precinct, 6 uniformed Metro Police officers from our Central Precinct who were at the scene at the time of the blast. These incredible heroes who ran to danger with uncertain outcomes ahead of them were responsible for so many injuries being saved. Now, I've spoken with Chief Drake, and I can report that the officers who were injured by this are recovering well. I would like Chief Drake to come and spend a little bit evaluating Officers Hosey, Llewellyn, Wells, Seapost, Topping, and Sergeant Miller, who took swift action and directed people away from danger to save lives, even at the time that their own lives would have been in peril. They are heroes, and I am grateful to them and all of Nashville first responders. This is a year where we understand what first responders mean to our community time and time again, and unfortunately on Christmas Day you have another example of that. of today as we are going from relief now to resolve. To catch those folks and to rebuild our city. And one more challenge in Nashville's 2020, but we will get through it, and we're grateful to our first responders. And never, you see y'all, once again, these officers running into danger to help save lives and injury. It's inspiring. And again, the gratitude of our community goes to the Chief's force. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Drake to comment a little bit more specifically about the heroism, the great heroism of our department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. As Mayor Cooper stated, these officers' acts of heroism is just tremendous. This morning, they received calls for shots fired. They had no idea what they were responding to. Once they arrived in the area, they heard an RV giving out a message, basically saying that it was going to detonate within a certain time frame, and then the countdown would go on, and then it would play music, and then the countdown would start again. The officers immediately began knocking on doors and evacuating residents here, not knowing if the bomb was going to detonate immediately or if it was going to go off in the time that it was stated. These officers didn't care about themselves. They didn't think about that. They cared about the citizens of Nashville. And they went in, and we'd be talking not about the debris that we have here, but also maybe potential people. So with that said, the officers saved lives today, and their heroism is to be noted.
Sir, do you believe that either the Lyft headquarters or the AT&T data center might have been targets of this explosion?
We don't know. The investigation is continuing. We don't know the motive at this time, but we're following up on all available leads.
Is there any timing check at all why this happened Christmas morning? Anything that leads you to believe that this day was chosen particularly?
We don't have anything at this time. We're following up on every lead that we can. Why Christmas morning? We have no idea. It was a total surprise. In fact, when I was briefed this morning, I thought maybe it was going to be a propane explosion from an RV. It turned out to be an intentional act. But we're going to follow up on every lead. We're following up on tips that come in now. And so we'll continue our investigative efforts. We have found tissue that we believe could be remains, and we'll just have that, examined, and then we'll be able to let you know from that point. I'm sorry.
To where that was
I
found.
can't hear you.
Speak to where that was found, if it's believed that it might be stored inside the RV.
Well, the RV was detonated, so if it was someone inside, we have no idea. It was such a large explosion, but the investigations continue, and there's matter all over the area down there, and so we'll continue to examine that to see if it is human remains.
Do you have an estimate on how many days fatalities?
Right now, there's no known fatalities that we know of.
Do you have an estimate on how many people your officers are being saved?
We believe that could be, but to be for certain, we have to examine it, and once we know for sure, that's, and then we'll let everyone know, but we're investigating it.
Have you received any information from the city and the county? Anything that leads you to believe that this is something else?
We have not received any threats whatsoever. It was total surprise. As I said, when I got the call this morning, I thought it was going to be a camper. Someone was trying to keep warm. The gas leak, and it was an explosion. As I got more updates, that's when I found out it was intentional. But we had no pre-warnings at all.
What do you make of the timing of this, being that there are no people out on the street at 6 in the morning, and that it happened with the announcement playing in advance?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate, but you would think that this person didn't want to harm people, that maybe just wanted to destroy, but we're not sure until we, get further into the investigation.
Can you talk about the 911 impact by this? Obviously, 7 and 7 have had their 911 system knocked out because of this. Do you think that was the relation? Is it the intention to knock out 911 service?
We're not sure right now. We're following up on that. We're aware we did have some services go down. We did have AT&T go down for just a little while, but that's back up now. So to say anything more would be speculation.
I'm actually going to ask for that to be the last question for Chief. For just now, we're going to ask Chief Sponsor Metro Fire to come and give an update.
Okay, thank you.
questions, unanswered questions that we can't answer right now. But some of the things we do want to talk about, we talk about our public safety and fire and police and Office of Emergency Management. The thing that we do operate off of the LIFT method, where we life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. And so currently right now we know we've done a sweep of all the buildings and try to make sure that we cleared, that there is no personnel that are in the buildings. And we've done all of the hazmat sweeps and all the things that you would imagine if it's a dirty bomb or something of this nature. Now we have our urban search and rescue teams in. That way we can shore up the buildings. We got an structural engineers there to make sure that, again, that the buildings are sound enough to actually be able to enter in and out of them. So again, there's a lot of moving parts, and I know there's a lot of questions that, again, that we're trying to answer, but at this point, there's so many moving parts. So again, we just want to take our hats off to all the first responders and all the job that has been done in the city, especially right now with the infrastructure. In the situation it is, all the partners that we have in local, federal, working together to make sure that, as the mayor said, we are a resilient city and we'll keep moving. Thank you.
Any idea how many people were evacuated?
That's a great question, and we're working on that because the way units are designed and we're trying to get an accurate head count. What I can tell everyone, the Red Cross is partnering with us, and we have MTA or REGO buses set up throughout the city. So if there's anybody that's displaced, we'll take them to the East Park Community Center, and from there, we'll make sure that they have a place to stay for tonight or for as long as needed.
Fair to say hundreds? Would you say hundreds? Like a ballpark?
I would say many people that may be placed. I'm sorry, I won't put a number to it, but we know that there are people that are displaced.
Chief, can you speak to the structural integrity of the buildings downtown, and given the explosion, is that part of the reason why there's a curfew for the next few days to make it in case anything collapses?
Absolutely. So at the Office of Emergency Management, when we try to look at the overall view of the city and making sure that everything is safe and working together, we know we had one building collapse due to the explosion and due to the age of the other buildings, and then we had water was being actually displayed throughout the buildings, and with the cold weather, we thank the water department as well, making sure that they got the water shut off, but still the integrity of those buildings are in question, so we're trying to make sure that we do have everybody in place and safety for all personnel. I don't have that address, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a building that actually housed across from the explosion, which above it was residential above, so I can't really give you that, I'm sorry.
All right, guys,
Yeah,
that's
thank
going to
you.
be our last question for this evening. I want to thank you guys for coming out. We will be in touch with you with regular updates. Again, thank you to Mayor Cooper, to Chief Swan, and Chief Drake for being here, and especially to those officers that we
just learned, if you're just jumping in and you missed the first couple of people that were just speaking in this 5 o'clock news conference, Chief Swan, who you just heard from, just gave us some news that we didn't know before, that there is a building.
Good job, man.
Yeah, right.
Proud of you.
Man.